Right, so I want to take you over some features of the Exile Unrest server and explain to you why it's a bit different to some of the other servers out there. So basically what I've done is I've taken the standard Exile code, the standard Exile features, and I've customized the absolute shit out of them to create a more harsh environment, something a little bit different. So if you haven't played Exile before, it's basically your typical survival sandbox type game. You spawn in, nothing, you do some looting, you get some gear, and that saves to your character. If you die, you lose it all. The difference with Exile is it's a bit heavily focused on trading, so I'm here in the trader city right now. So you can just go up to these traders and purchase certain things. Standard sort of Exile gameplay is, I think, really easy. It's really easy to get gear, it's really easy to get the best gear in the game, and it's really easy to make a shitload of money. I wanted to do something different, sort of trying to merge the framework of Exile with the playstyle of Breaking Point and the original Dayz mod as best as I could. So the traders on this server, you can't buy all the best guns, and the guns that you can buy are much more expensive. So the money isn't such a sort of I win factor. Being rich isn't going to get you very far. If I go up to the armory dealer, for example, and have a look at the guns, I mean, I can't buy sniper rifles, I can only buy the assault rifles. The light machine guns, there's only a small selection, so all the really high powered stuff can only be found out in the world. So when you've got it, it's handy to hang on to it, because if you die you're going to lose it, and you can't just come back here and purchase another one. Same with other items, I've tweaked the price a fair bit. So if we look at some of the tools, like rangefinders are 5,000, pop tabs, standard Exile, I think they're about 500 or something. So if you want to purchase some of the good gear, it's really going to hurt your back pocket. Another thing I've done different with the traders is when you sell items in standard Exile, they sell for 50% of the value of the item. I've changed that. In this server, they only sell for 25%. So it's a lot harder to make money. The theme I'm obviously going for is I don't want money to be such a huge factor in your gameplay. I want you to be able to buy certain things from the traders, but not everything you want, and it's not supposed to be easy. Probably one of the biggest changes I've done on this server that you're not going to see on any other servers, and some of you might like this, others might not. It's just entirely up to the individual. But basically, on this server you can't buy any of the armoured vehicles or armoured choppers from the traders. Right? They must be found out in the world. So if we look over here, for example, and have a look at this chopper here. Right, so this chopper spawns in and it'll stay here forever until someone finds it. It can be locked, but the pin code is always a default 0000. But there's only one, so there's only one of this chopper type. So once somebody has it, it's theirs. They can hide it, they can lock it up in a base, they can do what they want with it, but the point is there's only one, and this chopper can't be bought. That's the same for many other helicopters and armoured vehicles. So if we go over here, for example, this is the same as well. So this vehicle is saved to the database. If you've played Breaking Point or the original Dayz mod, exactly like how they work. They spawn in the world, you find them, and they're saved to the database. Except there's only a limited amount of them, and they can't be purchased. So if you find this, that's a pretty good find. It needs to be repaired, refueled, and it's yours to use. So that goes for all the choppers, except for the civilian little bird or hummingbird or whatever it's called, the one that doesn't have skids, so you can purchase that. I'll just start back to the traders real quick. We'll have a look at some of the vehicles that can be purchased. So if we look at the car dealer, so if I look at the vehicles I can buy all the hatchbacks and the sports cars, the SUVs, off-roads, things that don't adversely affect gameplay a great deal. I still want you to be able to buy these vehicles. But you'll notice you can't buy the Hunter, the Ifrit or the Strata. They're rare spawns and they only spawn out in the world, exactly the same as the way I just explained with the helicopters. And same if I shoot over to the aircraft dealer. There's only a few aircraft. I can buy the civilian Hummingbird or the Skywagon, which is terrible. So what this does, I think, is just creates a bit of a different dynamic in the gameplay. If you see someone in a chopper, you know, and you kill them and you get your hands on that chopper, that's a big achievement. It's a big find. It's not just a matter of coming to the traders and spending 2,000 pop tabs and getting yourself a chopper. There's no fun in that. I mean, like I said, there's going to be people that are going to enjoy that style of gameplay, and good luck to them. This server's probably not going to be as full as the easy mode servers, but you know, I'm going for a specific kind of gameplay style here. Okay. So the other thing I've done is completely reworked the loot tables. Within the constraints of the standard armor weapons, I wanted to stay away from mods and just use the standard armor 3 DLC weapons and standard stuff. The best guns you're going to find in civilian areas are the shitty 5.56 assault rifles. And then it's a bit of a step up when you go into standard military compounds, like if we shoot over to PMC. In compounds like this, you're going to find the second tier of weapons. That's another chopper, by the way, just another world spawn. In places like this, you're going to find the second tier of weapons, you know, so we start looking at your light machine guns, your 6.5mm MX series of weapons, and your low quality DMRs. And then from there we go up to the next tier of weapons, which is from the Ranger Barracks, and there's a few of these over the map. Put some extra ones in. So if we shoot over here, so this is a custom building I put in. So these buildings here and other areas such as heli crash sites, which I'll talk more about in a minute, these spawn the highest tier weapons. That doesn't mean that you're going to come here and get them straight up. It's just there's a chance to spawn here. So talking about your DLC, SPMGs and your 50 caliber sniper rifles, your DMRs, stuff like that. So the other thing we've got is some custom areas that are constantly being updated on the map. Shoot over here, we've got, we can see a custom roadblock that's been put in place. So Altus is being sort of updated, if you will. We're putting in lots of different custom areas just to make it a bit more interesting. The other cool thing that we do on this server is certain objects can spawn loot. For example, this car that I'm looking at, it functions like a building and it can spawn loot around it. So looting's a bit more diverse than just going inside buildings. It's the case on most sort of standard Exile servers or modified Exile, Dayz servers, whatever you want to call them. So we've got this location here, and I'll show you the other custom location that's on the map. Up here at Molos Airfield. That's another cool little custom area. You're going to start to see more of these popping up in certain places. So in terms of an antagonist, what we have on this server, we don't have zombies. I'm a little bit over zombies. If you played on this server before where I was running them, they were fun for a while. They're a bit buggy, a bit glitchy. I don't know what people's sort of hype is over them. I'm not a fan. But what we've got here is roaming AI. So I'm going to just teleport myself to this town, see if I can spawn some in. But they basically just spawn in, and they spawn with pretty shitty gear. It depends. I've highly configured the script. Credit goes to A3X AI for writing the script. I think the guy's name is Face. It's really well done. Basically, the AI will spawn in over here. So we can see some AI that have spawned in over here. And what they'll do, they function, you know, think of them as a better version of a zombie. They have loot, they have guns, and they'll try and kill you. I've configured the skill setting on them so that they're pretty shit. You've got to be pretty horrible to be killed by them, but if you stand still for long enough, or if you let them hunt you down, they're going to give you a bad day. Now, when you kill these guys, you get respect, so let's see how good of a shot I am. Probably going to get killed doing this, but let's see how we go. They also go inside buildings, as you can see there. They mimic player behaviour. That's the whole point of them. You can see I got some respect for killing that guy. Now that's going to play a pretty significant factor, because the next point I'm going to talk about is respect. On this server, respect is typically used for upgrading your territory for base building. Right? That's how it's used in standard Exile, but here it plays a bit more of a part. Respect is required to buy items from the traders. You need to have 50% of the value of the item in respect to purchase it. Yeah, so if an item costs $1,000, you need to have 500 respect to purchase the item. You also lose respect. You also lose respect when you die. You lose 10% of your total respect. So I've got 17k. When I die, 10% of that, 1,700. I'm going to lose 1,700 respect if my maths isn't off. Right, and yeah, so no respect, you can't buy anything from the traders. So these guys have loot, and they'll respawn. The other cool thing they do is, if you get into a fight with these guys, there could be AI air support that will come in and reinforce them with paratroopers. There's also armed AI air patrols and ground patrols. Again, they're highly configured to not be overpowered. They're there to be a challenge and to mimic player behaviour. You can see a car driving on the road and you won't know if it's a player or if it's AI until you shoot them. That's pretty much it on the antagonist, on the roaming AI. They're pretty cool. They're a bit different to zombies. They really are a threat, and they make looting towns a bit more of a threat, and a bit more fun. Alright. So the other thing I've got is dynamic weather. So we run accelerated time, so as you can see the clock's ticking over pretty quick. Now the weather script that I'm running, it will basically change weather every 15 minutes and it's synced to all clients within 60 seconds. Right, so it's currently, what time is it? Currently 7:20 in the morning, so between the hours of, I think it's 4 AM and 10 AM in the morning, there's going to be low-lying fog. Alright, so as you can see here, there's fog and the fog height's random, but it looks quite cool. I've got OCD when it comes to hosting a server and things I do in Armour. I like everything to be pretty and look nice and just be standard. I can't stand having the same blue skies every time I play. Just heard this over here. Alright, so this is a AI air patrol. It's a Pawnee. What this will do is it'll just fly around the map and look for players. Once it finds them, it may engage them, it may not engage them, and it can be taken down by players. And if you're lucky enough to kill the pilot and not blow up the chopper, it's yours, you can take it. So we'll just zoom around a little bit and have a look at this weather keyframe that's been called, so you can see the low-lying fog coming in from the coast. Again, this will change as the session goes on. It's going to change. So I'm just going to jump out of the camera mode again for a second there. So the other thing we've got here is some custom crafting. So any item that you have in your inventory, it's worth double clicking it. So for instance, junk metal, and having a look at the recipes you can craft, because on this server there's a lot of different items. So I can craft a large IED. Right, so if I double click that, it's going to tell me everything I need to craft it. So just a little bit more diversity. For instance, I could chop down some wood from that tree and double click the wood log and see what I can craft. I can tell you off the top of my head, you can craft matches, for example. So it's worth clicking any item in your inventory to have a look at what can be crafted. And the other features of the server is an instant key for your Instadock. If you don't play Exile or you're looking to play it, an Instadock is basically an I win button. Over 30 seconds will restore your health to 100%. That in mind, they're actually quite rare on this server and very expensive to buy. So yeah, we don't want you to just have endless Instadocks and get into a gunfight with players and just be able to constantly use them. But if you do want to use it, typically you would have to go in, double click and press consume. On this server you can just press number 7, just like that, and it'll fire off your Instadock, just like a bandage and breaking point. One of the other things we've done on this server is reduce the self-healing threshold. Now this coincides with the rarity changes to the Instadocks and the price changes to the Instadocks. So because Instadocks are quite rare now and quite expensive on this server, we just wanted to reduce the self-healing ability. So basically what happens is, when you are above 80% hunger and thirst, look down here, when these two values are above 80%, you're going to heal 2% health per 60 seconds. Right, so not a significant amount. It's not going to affect a gunfight or affect any sort of PvP you have with other players. But it will allow you to gradually self-heal a lot easier than in Standard Exile. In Standard Exile you have to be above 90% hunger and thirst, so we've reduced that down. The other thing is, this is just my OCD coming out. Basically, if I have some food, you're going to see that my hunger is going to go up. So once it gets above 80%, nothing's going to happen. However, I also have a drink. You'll see that when both values are above 80%, stats turn green. That indicates that I'm healing, or that I'm healthy, or whatever you want to call it. So it's just a little bit of Jono OCD. It's nothing special, but quite handy, I think. Get shot by some more AI. Yeah, they can respawn in the towns and engage you. So yeah, they're pretty cool. The script that Face has written, the A3XAI script, is really, really good. Quite intuitive, the AI. You quite often won't know if they're players or if they're AI. If you're an Arma veteran and you understand how AI move and function, then it's obviously going to be a lot easier. For the average Joe, you're not going to know a lot of the time. So another thing that we've changed is we've very slightly tweaked the spawn points. So if we have a look, there's no Pygros spawn. You now spawn at Chalkia. The reason for this is Pygros is a pretty valuable military area that we didn't want fresh spawns to be fighting over all the time. Standard Exile, you spawn there, and 90% of the players on the server are always going to spawn there, and it just turns out to be a shit fight, really. So one of the other things we have is missions. Alright, so as you can see on the map, we've got some armed bandits there. Missions are pretty straightforward. We zoom in and take a look at them. Alright, in this case, they've just spawned in some soldiers and a 50 cal truck that isn't manned. It's pretty straightforward. You come here, you kill the dudes, you get all their guns and their gear. There's a weapons crate, and in this case, you get your hands on the 50 cal truck, which is super rare and super handy, because with the choppers getting around, you can take them down quite easily. The whole point of missions, in my mind, is basically a means to bring players together. Altus is a huge map, like it's fucking enormous. So when a mission spawns and there's the potential to pick up some of the best gear in the game, players are going to go to this area, and it's going to create a centre of attention where people can have a good old gunfight. So just wanted to touch back on the vehicle spawn system. Right, so one thing I didn't mention is there is a chance for some armed vehicles to spawn. So when I say armed, I don't mean Blackfoots with missile launchers. I mean like an armed Ghost Hawk or an armed Orca, armed Chinook. Vehicles that aren't going to be overpowered, but they're going to be fun to use, and they can definitely swing the battle in your favour. These vehicles spawn just like the other vehicle spawn system, so they'll spawn in, they can't be locked, but they will save to the database, so if you have it, you can hide it in your base and keep it there. And you can rearm them. So if you go to certain objects in the world, I'm not going to tell you what they are, you'll have to find them for yourself. You'll get a scroll wheel option to rearm the vehicle. Now that's going to cost you pop tabs to do so. It costs you a lot of pop tabs to do so. I want you to just be able to have the Ghost and constantly rearm it. But if you've got plenty of money, you can. But believe me, on this server, money's a pretty big deal, and you're not always going to have enough money to rearm the Ghost Hawk or rearm one of the armed vehicles. So, last thing I thought I'd talk about real quick is when we press M, we can see ourselves on the map. And this is the same for anybody in your group. They'll all appear on the map, and they will have their group names above their hexagon. So they'll have their names above their Arma 3 hexagon group marker thing. That's it. That's pretty much all the features of the server. I hope you guys can come in and take a look. Tell me what you think. Give me some feedback. Hope to see you in here.